Hi there. Well, something a little bit different today. You know, we all use our smartphones, I'm sure, for taking video, and it doesn't matter whether you do it professionally, if you're a content creator or a video producer, or if you use it for just to record your holidays and family events, weddings and christenings, grandkids' birthday parties or whatever. We've all seen that shaky footage, and I'm as guilty as anyone for producing that kind of content, although I do try very hard not to. This is a game changer, and it's this. Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello there, and welcome to Grey Matters. Well, today we're going to be looking at a gadget that will make all the difference to your video making if you use a smartphone, whether you do it just for your own personal use and enjoyment, or whether you produce any form of content for other people to see. We've all seen that shaky footage that we create when we are moving along with our smartphones, happily filming everything that we see, and it looks dreadful, doesn't it? Well, today I'm going to be reviewing a smartphone gimbal. This is reputedly the lightest and the cheapest one on the market. It's the Hohem iSteady X2. This isn't a paid promotion, but this is a game changer. Let's have a look at it and start at the very beginning.
A very good place to start.
If you don't know what a smartphone gimbal is, it's basically a gadget that keeps your camera balanced and stabilized. This particular one is so light. It weighs, I think, about 250 grams, and it'll take a smartphone up to 280 grams in weight. So it'll handle most smartphones on the market today. And it's small enough to just slip into your pocket and carry with you. To use it, you just literally unfold it, do up the nut there, the screw, and that keeps it steady. The gimbal has three motors. This is a 3-axis gimbal, so it's got pan, tilt and roll. And it's got three motors, one here, and one here. And you can control those motors through the joystick here and some various buttons. People seem to think that these gimbals are way out of their price and their budget range, but in fact this one comes in well under £100. I will leave a link in the description to one if you want to give it a look. So what do you get in the box? Well, you get the quick start guide, of course, you get the full instruction book, and you get a case which you may actually never use, because I suspect you'll just be sticking this into your pocket. You obviously get the charging cable, you get a neat little remote, and you get a tripod stand. Now, this has two functions as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, you've got the tripod action there. Works brilliantly. Very steady, but also if you've ever used a gimbal before or seen one being used, you will know that it's best to use it with two hands. So with that attached, you can actually use this with two hands. Keeps it even steadier. Right, well, let's put the phone in and we'll see how it performs. Now, this Hohem gimbal has its own app, and a lot of the features of the gimbal you need to access through the app. Right, so I'll put the phone in and you will see Bluetooth connection if you're searching for the gimbal. So we'll turn the gimbal on and you'll see it come to life. There we go. I'll just select the gimbal. That will now connect through Bluetooth, and a lot of those functions on the app will become available to me. Well, the phone has been connected through the Hohem app, as you can see. You can use the native camera if you prefer, but you then lose some of the functionality of the gimbal. So what do these buttons do? Well, the power button will also automatically turn with one press, turn it to portrait mode, which is really useful for things like TikTok and Instagram. You can also do what they call inception mode. Now this is a feature that's used in a lot of films where the footage rotates. If I press that 3 times, that will then set itself into inception mode. It's getting ready and it will now slowly rotate. And as it does so, obviously the picture is rotating as well. It works incredibly well. And if you're moving, as in that shot, you get some really impressive footage. Double press and it will recenter the gimbal completely. A nice feature on this is, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, the arm of that goes off at the side, okay? And that means even on wide angle, you're not going to see the mechanism of the gimbal. Some gimbals, that will happen. The joystick will fully control the tilt. The tilt isn't as good as on some gimbals, and that's one feature I'm not so happy about, but it's probably adequate for what most of us will want it for. It will obviously rotate. We can rotate that round. On the side there is a slide button for a zoom, and that will zoom in and out, or you can use it to adjust your focus. Well, there are 4 shooting modes available through the app or by pressing a combination of buttons on the gimbal itself. The first is probably the default, which is pan and tilt. Now what happens with pan and tilt is that it locks the roll motor but allows the pan and tilt motors to work. So if you're following somebody, you can pan and you can tilt the camera as you're doing it. The next one is pan mode only. So you can pan, but you can't tilt. The next one, which I find really useful, is the all lock mode, because then it doesn't matter what you do with that handle or with the tilt motors, the phone will continue to look in the direction that you had it pointing. So as you see, I'm messing around with this and it's just staying exactly as it was. It doesn't move at all, which I like. The fourth one is like an all follow. It means that all the motors are working and the camera will just flip around all over the place. It's used a lot by TikTokers, I believe, and people on Instagram. I don't think I would ever have a use for it because I like to stabilize my images. Those are the 4 main shooting modes. The app does give a lot more as well though, because it also has face tracking on there, which I shall set up now for you. Well, I've now initialized the face tracking. I've had to put it up on the box because it's a bit close. We're a bit cramped for space here and it couldn't see my face, but it can now. And as I move, so the gimbal moves to keep track of my face. Isn't it good? When would you use that? If you're doing a piece to camera and you're walking past the camera will follow you as you go and keep your face in frame the whole time. If you're following somebody else and going down the road or on the beach or wherever and you're filming them, it will stay tracking to them wherever you go. It will stay with them. Great little feature. And it will also track objects as well. Okay, let's put this to one side. Now, I've mentioned the face tracking, but it does do a lot more. It will do hyperlapse, which is a time lapse. It will also do a motion or an action time lapse. This is incredible. If you set your tripod up with the camera gimbal on top, you select the scene you want. It could be the tide coming in, for example. You set the time lapse going. With the motion time lapse, the camera will pan during the filming. So you will actually get some dynamic movement in there as well. It's amazing, very cinematic. It also obviously do slow motion and it does dolly zoom. Now, if you don't know what dolly zoom is, think of Jaws and the scene on the beach when the shark was first noticed. It's when you zoom in on your subject, but the background zooms out, or you zoom out on the subject and the background zooms in. There's also a few other little, they call them moments on there. They're little templates for various moves you can do. They come pre-packaged with music that is a bit irritating, but if you've got decent editing software, you can obviously get rid of that and put your own music in. So what you really want to know is, no doubt, is it actually any good as a stabilizer? I mean, that's generally why people buy them, not so much for all the gadgets and gizmos that go with it. Is it any good? Well, for £89, it's exceptional. Now, for me, the best way to check how well it stabilizes is to try and film on Zoom. If you've ever tried using your video camera or your phone on Zoom and hand hold it and get footage, it's almost impossible. Everything jumps around. You really need a tripod. So will this overcome that? My phone on Zoom is pretty shocking quality, but this is some handheld footage I took with it on full zoom. As I say, ignore the quality of the picture. Just look at the instability, what I'm trying to get. Now, this is the same area, the same footage in effect, using the gimbal on half zoom. Again, ignore the quality, but then on full zoom. That is pretty astonishing, I think, particularly for a gimbal that costs virtually nothing. Well, I think it's time we took this gimbal outside and I show you some of the ways you can use it. I can show you also how you can fake a drone shot, and that's pretty impressive. All right, let's go. Right, well, here we are now outside, and we're going to show you a few things that you can do with the gimbal. And the first thing you need to learn is how to walk, because if you just film and walk normally, the gimbal's not going to do a huge amount to help you keep that steady. Right, and I'll give you a little demonstration of that now. I shall start that recording and I shall walk off this way. And I'll turn around and I'll walk back. There we go. Right, a lot of instructional websites suggest that you do the ninja walk. Now, the idea of that is that your arms and your legs act as springs, and you have to adopt a pose, which is with your legs slightly bent, and then you heel and toe, and that will help to keep the gimbal steady. Right, I'll give you a demonstration of this one. The main problem with that is that it looks ridiculous. I think most of us would feel a bit self-conscious walking around the Colosseum or up South End High Street, or walking through London going like this behind our husbands or wives or whatever, filming them as they're walking. It does steady the footage out, but there is another school of thought that says just heel and toe, and that's all you need to do. So let's compare the footage if I just heel and toe. To be fair, you're not going to see a huge amount of difference in that. Really, you're not. So, what else can we do? Well, I promised I'd show you how to fake a drone shot. We're going to do that now. Okay, so to fake a drone shot, you need a nice long selfie stick, or a monopod, or even a collapsed tripod, you know, with the legs in. Monopods are generally a bit longer, so you get a little bit more height. The disadvantage with those is that the hand grip is at the top of a monopod, which makes it a little bit more uncomfortable to hold at the bottom. So a selfie stick probably is the better option. So we're going to put that into portrait mode, landscape mode I mean, and we're going to walk down to where we're going to start our drone shot. Take it down low to start, and then we're going to take off. Then we simply walk back, losing a shoe in the process. That's all there is to it, all right? Let's see how that turned out. There's plenty of videos online showing you what you can do with the gimbal, lots of trick shots and cinematic effects and transitions. I'm not going to attempt any of those today, just to give a little flavour how to hold it and how to walk and how to fake a drone shot. There's plenty more you can do with a gimbal and it will make a big difference to you. Let's go back into the studio and we'll wrap it up in there. Overall, what do I think of this gimbal? I'm very, very impressed. For £89, this gimbal is a game changer for the amateur, for the home user, for the professional. It's got everything on there that a full-featured expensive gimbal will have, and I've seen some videos on YouTube where they are comparing them very favourably against some higher priced competitors. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can take a look at one if you want. And if you do get one of these gimbals, there's plenty of instructional videos on YouTube showing you how to use them, how to get the best shots, how to frame the shots, how to do really great and inventive transitions with them. And it really will lift the quality and the appearance of your videos, whether you're a happy amateur or whether you're a content producer. So yes, I would certainly get one. And that wraps it up. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope that you've enjoyed this little review. I will be doing more reviews of products, not just aimed at my target subscribers, but some that will be aimed at, like this one, really for anybody who's got an interest in a particular topic. I will see you again very shortly on Grey Matters, but until then, bye for now.